Let me ask you something. What's the difference between these three sentences? I was tired. I did my homework. I had finished my homework. They all talk about the past, but why do we use was, did, and had?
That's a great question, because many English learners know these words, but they're never completely sure when to use them.
Exactly. And today, we're not going to memorize grammar rules. We're going to solve a mystery.
A mystery?
Yes, a story. And by the end of this episode, you'll understand when to use was, when to use did, and when to use had, naturally, without confusing grammar charts.
I like that. Let's begin.
3 letters, and millions of English learners get confused by it.
I mean, I know sentences like, I was tired, I was happy, I was busy, but honestly, I've never really understood why.
Perfect. Because today, I'm not teaching grammar. I'm telling you a story. And hidden inside that story is the secret of was.
Let's hear it.
Yesterday was a strange day. I woke up at 7 a.m. The alarm clock was ringing. The room was dark. And honestly, I was tired. Very tired.
The kind of tired where you wake up and immediately want to sleep again?
Exactly. Now, let me ask you something. In the sentence, I was tired, am I doing something?
No, you're describing how you felt.
Exactly. That's our first clue. When I say I was tired, I'm describing my condition, my situation, my feeling, not an action.
Okay, that makes sense.
Anyway, I got out of bed and looked around, and wow, my room was messy. My desk was messy, the floor was messy, everything was messy.
Sounds like nobody cleaned their room.
Exactly. Now tell me, when you hear my room was messy, am I describing an action?
No, you're describing the room.
Perfect. So now we have I was tired, the room was messy. Both are descriptions. Then I walked into the kitchen and immediately something felt wrong. The kitchen was silent. The coffee machine was silent. Too silent.
That sounds like a horror movie.
It was. Then I discovered the problem. The coffee machine was broken.
No, not the coffee machine.
Exactly. And immediately I was worried.
Okay, I think I'm seeing a pattern.
What's the pattern?
Every sentence with was describes something. A feeling, a situation, a condition.
Exactly. You're learning faster than I expected.
Let's leave my terrible morning for a second. Imagine you come home from work. How was your day?
I was busy.
Good. How was the traffic?
The traffic was terrible.
How was your boss?
My boss was happy.
See, you're already using was naturally. Let's talk about food. Yesterday evening, how was dinner?
The food was delicious.
How was your mother?
She was happy.
How was your little brother?
He was noisy. Very noisy.
Here's the easiest way to remember was. Imagine you're holding a camera. You take a picture of yesterday. What do you see?
I see you looking tired.
Exactly. And what else?
Your room was messy. The coffee machine was broken. The kitchen was quiet.
Perfect. A camera doesn't show action. A camera shows a situation. And that's exactly what was does. It describes the picture. Let's test your understanding. Which sentence sounds correct? A, yesterday I was hungry. B, yesterday I did hungry.
A, yesterday I was hungry.
Why?
Because hungry is a feeling, not an action.
Excellent. Next one. A, the weather was cold. B, the weather did cold.
The weather was cold because we're describing the weather.
Perfect. So tell me, in your own words, when do we use was?
We use was when we're describing something in the past, a feeling, a condition, a situation, a state, something that was true.
That's one of the best explanations I've heard.
And honestly, this is the first time I've understood it without memorizing grammar.
Because stories are easier to remember than rules. Now here's where our story gets interesting. Up until now, we've only described things. The room was messy, I was tired, the coffee machine was broken.
Right. Nothing is really happening. You're just describing the scene.
Exactly. But then I decided to solve my problems. I cleaned the room. I searched the kitchen. I fixed breakfast. I investigated what was wrong.
Ah, now you're doing things. Actions.
Exactly. And that's where we'll meet a new word, a word that's completely different from was, because was describes the picture, but the next word describes the action.
Let me guess. That's what we're learning next?
Before we continue the story, let's do a quick recap. What did we learn about was?
Was describes a picture from the past, a feeling, a condition, a situation, like I was tired, the room was messy, the coffee machine was broken.
Perfect. Now our story is about to change, because up until now we've only been describing things, but eventually I got tired of looking at the mess and I decided to do something.
Ah, things are about to happen.
So there I was, tired, hungry, worried, standing in front of a broken coffee machine, and suddenly I thought, enough is enough. So I cleaned my room, I washed my face, I made breakfast, I searched the kitchen for coffee.
Okay, now you're actually doing things.
Exactly, and that's where today's new word lives. The word did. Tell me something. What's the difference between I was tired and I did my homework?
The first one describes a feeling. The second one describes an action.
Exactly. That's the secret. Think about it this way. Was describes the picture. Did describes what happened inside the picture.
Oh, wow, that's actually easy. The picture is was, the movie is did.
Exactly. So, after breakfast, I decided to clean my room. I picked up the clothes, I organized the desk, I swept the floor, and finally, I did a lot of cleaning.
Wait, why do we say I did a lot of cleaning instead of I was a lot of cleaning?
Because cleaning is something I performed, an action, something I did. Let's use your life. Yesterday evening, what did you do?
I watched TV, I ate dinner, I called a friend.
Perfect. Those are all actions, things you did. Now try using did.
I did my homework, I did the dishes, I did some exercise.
Excellent. Let's compare two sentences. I was hungry. I did eat 3 pizzas.
The first one is a feeling, the second one is an action.
Exactly. And after eating 3 pizzas,
I was full.
perfect. Now you're using both naturally. Now let's continue our story. Remember when I looked outside?
And something was missing.
Exactly. My bicycle wasn't there. At first, I was confused. Then I was worried. But after that, I did something.
You investigated.
Exactly. I searched the garage. I checked the backyard. I called my neighbor. I asked questions. I did everything I could.
Now I see it clearly. Every time you use did, you're talking about actions.
Let's compare. Situation. I was worried. Action. I did something about it. Situation. I was hungry. Action. I did make breakfast. Situation. I was confused. Action. I did investigate.
This comparison makes it so easy. Was equals situation, did equals action.
Let's play. I'll give you a sentence. You tell me if we need was or did. Ready?
Ready.
Yesterday, I blank tired.
Was.
Yesterday, I blank my homework.
Did.
Yesterday, the weather blank cold.
Was.
Yesterday, I blank the dishes.
Did.
Yesterday, my mother blank happy.
Was.
Yesterday, I blank some exercise.
Did.
Perfect. You're getting it. So tell me, when do we use did?
When we're talking about actions in the past, things we performed, things we completed, things we actually did.
Excellent. And that's the easiest way to remember it. Think of yesterday as a movie. The things you see, those are often was. The things people do, those are did. Example, I was tired. I was hungry. The room was messy. Then, I did my homework. I did the dishes. I did some cleaning.
Okay, now I understand both. Was describes the scene, Did move the story forward.
Exactly, and now our mystery is about to get even more interesting because I finally found a clue about my missing bicycle. But when I discovered the clue, I realized something important had already happened before I got there.
Wait, something happened before another past event?
Exactly, and that's where our third word enters the story, had.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What happened to the bicycle?
Okay, let's see where we are. First, we learned was.
Was describes a situation, a feeling, a condition. Like, I was tired. The room was messy. The coffee machine was broken.
Perfect. Then we learned did.
Did describes actions, things people do. Like, I did my homework. I did the dishes. I did some cleaning.
Excellent. Now let's continue our story because the bicycle mystery is about to be solved. So there I was, standing outside my house. My bicycle was missing. I was confused. I was worried, and I did everything I could to find it. I searched the garage. I checked the backyard. I asked my neighbor. Then suddenly, I found a clue.
A clue? Now we're talking. What was it?
My neighbor looked at me and said, "Are you looking for your bicycle?" I said, "Yes." And he replied, "I saw your brother riding it this morning."
Wait, so your brother took it?
Maybe, but listen carefully. This is where English gets interesting. I called my brother, and he said, "Oh yeah, I had taken your bicycle to the repair shop."
Hold on. Why did he say, I had taken your bicycle instead of I took your bicycle?
Excellent question. That's exactly why we're here. Let's imagine a timeline. First event, my brother took the bicycle. Second event, I discovered it was missing. Which happened first?
Your brother took it first, then later you noticed it was gone.
Exactly. And when one past action happened before another past action, we often use had. Think of it this way. Did equals past action. Had equals earlier past action.
Wait, so had is like the past before the past?
Yes, that's the easiest explanation ever. Let's use a simple example. Imagine you arrive at the cinema, but the movie is already running. You can say, the movie had started before I arrived.
Because the movie started first, then I arrived.
Exactly. Imagine you arrive at the station. The train is gone. What happened?
The train had left before I got there.
Perfect. You already understand had. So I called my brother, and he explained everything. He had taken the bicycle. He had noticed the brakes were broken. He had decided to help me, and he had taken it to the repair shop.
Aw, he was actually helping.
Exactly. The mystery was solved. Let's compare. Example 1. I was worried. Feeling. I did search for the bicycle. Action. My brother had taken the bicycle. Action that happened before another past action.
Okay, this is making sense. Was equals description, did equals action, had equals earlier action.
Imagine this. You open your refrigerator and your cake is gone.
That sounds personal.
You ask your little brother, "Where's my cake?" And he says, "Sorry, I had eaten it."
That would make me very angry.
But grammatically correct. Let's play one final game. Ready?
Ready.
Yesterday, I tired.
Was.
Yesterday, I blank my homework.
Did.
When I arrived at the cinema, the movie blank started.
Had.
The weather blank cold.
Was.
I blank the dishes after dinner.
Did.
When I reached the station, the train blank left.
Had.
Perfect. You got everyone right. Let's solve the mystery once and for all. Imagine yesterday as a movie. Was shows the scene. I was tired. The room was messy. The weather was cold. Did shows the action. I did my homework. I did the dishes. I did some cleaning. Had shows something that happened before another moment in the past. The movie had started. The train had left. My brother had taken the bicycle.
You know what's funny? At the start of this episode, I thought grammar was going to be boring.
And now?
Now, I feel like we solved a mystery and somehow learned English along the way.
That's the secret. Grammar isn't about rules, it's about understanding stories.
So, if I remember one thing, was describes the picture, did describes the action, had describes what happened before the action.
Exactly. And if you can understand a story, you can understand English. Thanks for listening.
If you enjoyed today's story and learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode of Easy English Podcast.